Hi guys, it's Raptor here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to draw a crewmate from Among Us. So what you're going to need to do this is a blank piece of paper, one pencil, and a relatively new black marker. Also don't forget an assorted group of coloring items. That could be crayons, colored pencils, markers, pastels, whatever you have, though I highly recommend colored pencils. So you're going to want to start off with your black marker. You can start with your pencil if you want and trace over it later, but the black marker just gives it a much nicer look. So anyways, the first thing you're going to do is kind of towards the lower portion of your page, draw a nice little U shape. You're just kind of going to want to bolden it in and make it much nicer and thicker, because that's just the general outline art style of the Among Us characters. Once you bolden your U, you're going to want to draw this little line out that has a slight slant up, and then bolden it where the end of the slant up is like a point, and it gets a little bit thicker as it goes. And at this point, your picture should look something pretty similar to this. Next, you're going to want to start drawing your second U from the point where the slant starts to kind of move upwards on the little slant point. You want this U to be a little bit rounder and a little bit smaller. And then same thing, you're just going to kind of want to bolden it in and make it look a little bit thicker and nicer. And then from the very right side of the second U, you're going to want to start drawing a vertical line up. Be very careful, you don't want to make it too long because you won't be able to erase it. So I recommend you do it a little bit at a time and try to make it pretty similar in length to mine. And then once you do that, from the very top of the vertical line, you're going to want to do a slight bulge out that also heads upwards. Once again, be careful about the size you make it. You can use mine as a reference if you want. Now this part is a little bit tricky, but what you're going to want to try to do is from the bottom of the bulge out, do a line that's kind of curving around to the left. It'll curve a little bit down and generally head slanted to the down left, but then it'll curve around and head upwards, also very minorly slanting to the left. You can once again use mine as a reference for the shape and size. And then after the left side curve, it does one more curve at the top, and then a pretty straight line, going all the way back to the right side, and connecting it back to the original bulge. Once you get that over with, it's just going to be the same process of boldening the outlines. I would recommend you boldening it inwards, as it would prevent it from looking larger than it's supposed to be. But still, however you bolden it, try to make it look as neat as you can. Once again, for reference, your drawing should look something pretty close to mine at this point. Picture where the original vertical line would end up going out of the visor, and start from there and do a sort of circle-ish curve around, and then go to the left, and then do another more boxy curve down, and then do a vertical line that goes straight to your original U-shaped foot. And then once again, you're just going to add some boldness to the lines you just did. Try to make the boldness you add parallel to the original lines, so that the curves and shapes don't lose their specific characteristics. Next is the backpack. Try to start the first line at about the same height as the middle of the visor. Start the backpack with a line that goes left and then curves to a line that heads slightly inwards to the right, and then another curve that connects it back to the person at about the same height as the line in between the feet. Once again, I recommend you bolden it in inwards so that it doesn't end up larger than it should be. Alright, now you're done with drawing the black outline. Before you move on, I would highly recommend you going over it one more time with your black marker, but slower and harder to make the black lines appear sharper and neater. Now it's time for the coloring in. Surprisingly, the first thing you should grab is your pencil. Make sure it's very sharp for this. starting from about the same height as the top of the visor, you should do a nearly vertical line down that increasingly curves around until it starts to curve slanted upwards where it meets the black line to the very right side. You can erase parts and redraw them to make the curves look as smooth as possible, or start the whole thing over if you believe you can redo it better. Also do an upwards bulging curve on the backpack at around the same height as the bottom of the visor. This part is a little bit meticulous. What you do is draw a line down from the top left corner of the visor, just like you did on the main part of the Crewmate. And once again, the line curves to the right side, and curves a tiny bit up before it meets the right edge of the visor. Then to draw the little bit of reflection on the top of the visor, draw a little curve going down to the left, and do a kind of bubble effect to the curve, making it thicker like your black lines, but don't color it in. At this point, your drawing should look pretty similar to what I have on my paper. Now all you have to do is color the Crewmate in. You can pretty much choose between any color that the Crewmates are in Among Us, such as purple, or red, or brown, or white, or orange, or pink, or green, or yellow, or cyan, or... well, you get the idea. For today's video, I'm choosing to make the Crewmate red. So no matter what color you choose, you're going to want to test it out on a separate piece of paper and see what shade of the color it is. Next, you're going to want to find another coloring utensil that is slightly darker or lighter in shade than the one you originally picked. Before you start coloring in, you're going to want to erase those pencil marks from earlier. As long as you do not have a super high quality eraser, the markings you drew from the pencil will be slightly visible but faded. And then you're going to want to trace over the two lines on the Crewmate in his backpack with your more lightly shaded coloring utensil. And then you should color in the portion above the line, once again with your more lightly shaded utensil. And this is where the darker shade of the color you chose comes in. Right below where you drew the top light portion, draw with your dark utensil on the lower uncolored portion on the Crewmate in his backpack. Make sure you do this on a flat surface. I made the mistake of doing it on a wavy piece of cardboard, but I realized my mistake and corrected it. Once you finish drawing the darker portion, go over it one more time to draw over any potential missed white spots and to make it appear bolder. Do the same with your lighter portion. Make sure not to get the different utensils confused. Do as many layers as you'd like until it looks bold enough. Really make sure not to get the different colors confused. By the way, if you do not have the option of another utensil in a slightly different shade, then I recommend you using the same utensil but pressing down harder for the portion meant to be darker, making it appear that the other one is lighter. Now it's time to color in the visor. I recommend you draw a rough sketch of the shape of your Crewmate to test your shades of blue on to see what would fit best. You'll need one light blue and a darker variant of blue. Lightly trace the fade sketches from your erased pencil markings with your lighter blue variant. Once you are finished tracing, lightly but neatly color in the top section of your visor with your light blue. Make sure not to color in the outlined curved reflection on the top right of the visor that we outlined. And lastly, neatly color in the lower section of the visor with your darker blue variant. Remember to keep the reflection on the top right of the visor white. And if you'd like, you can add your signature onto the piece of paper by your art. And we're done! I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial on how to draw an Among Us Crewmate. Feel free to drop your opinions on my take on the Among Us Crewmate in the comments below. And comment if you found my tutorial helpful. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.